Hello and welcome to Tuesday DJ Gig Tips, brought to you by Fibo, the music planning app. You're going to hear noise upstairs. There are dogs beating the hell out of each other. So either I don't do a video or I wait for the dogs to go to sleep or something. So unfortunately you're going to hear some noise up there. I apologize for that. Anyway, today I wanted to talk about amateur DJ mistakes. I've been wanting to do a video since I did my gig on Saturday, where I was thinking about, raising my prices for reasons, not arbitrarily raising them, but, for real reasons. And then I was talking to a friend of mine on Sunday, and he was telling me that he went to a quinceañera over the weekend. He's also a quinceañera DJ, by the way, and I know a lot of you are never going to do a quinceañera. I understand that, but I think for our purposes today, it's important to understand that a quinceañera sometimes is a lot like a wedding, where it's a formal event and you have people coming in from all over the place. Family, friends of all ages. They're there to have conversations. They haven't seen each other in a long time. It's a social event. So in that regard, it's a lot like a wedding reception. And this is what my friend does. And he's watching this other quinceañera DJ perform, and this DJ is doing things that's driving him crazy as an audience member, especially because he knows better. I thought I'd share some of those things with you today because I thought they were really good examples of amateur mistakes. Number one, the music is way too loud for your event. Sometimes your system is just too big. Sometimes you've just got it cranked up too loud. Now, why is loud music as something like a formal wedding or a quinceañera a bad thing? Well, you got to take into consideration who's in the audience and what they're doing. Some DJs feel like that their job is to get everyone dancing, and anything above and beyond that is a failure. I don't believe that's true. I believe that what you want to do is keep people engaged and create ambience. Yeah, people are going to want to dance, and when they want to dance, you need to give them good music to dance to. But when they don't, sometimes they want to talk and have conversations. They haven't seen each other for a long time, like we said. If they can't hear each other, they're screaming at each other, and when they're screaming at each other, it's exhausting. And when people get tired, they eventually leave. Or alternately, maybe somebody wants to have a conversation. They can't in the room, so they leave the room, so you're losing audience members. Personally, I feel like you should have a hot spot on the dance floor, and then conversation areas in the rest of the room where no one is screaming at each other. Now, if you're doing a school dance, yes, just make their ears bleed throughout the whole gymnasium. But at a formal event, like a wedding or a nice quinceañera, you need to create those conversation areas, and when it's too loud and people can't talk, it's amateur. That's an amateur mistake that a lot of new DJs or inexperienced DJs make. I'm looking at my list here. Inconsistent volumes or just poor sound. This DJ was saying how, they'd play one track and it was loud, another track it was quiet. Why is this? Well, they don't have quality audio files. For one, probably. Or perhaps they just don't know how to run a mixing board properly. They don't know how to achieve unity gain or set up a sound system. These are the kind of things that pro DJs know how to do. They know how to keep consistent sound, where there's not a lot of variables in how loud each track is. It's all pretty level. And you can do this with things like pre-fade listen. Those meters on your mixing board are there to help you. You can kind of see where the audio level is going to be on the next track before you fade over to it. Just having consistently good files, like you don't want to have some 320K files, some 128K files, and some wave files. It's all going to sound different. So keep that consistent. And even if you do have a variety of different types of bit rates or styles of your music files, pay attention to how they're coming out of the speakers and what's happening on that board. Pay attention to how you have it set up. A big one he cited was the DJ not playing to the audience. And the example he gave was extra long sets of styles of music that aren't working. In this case, it was bachata. They were doing like half-hour bachata sets. People would come out for the first couple songs, but then they were tired and would sit down. They were bored with it. DJ kept playing them. Well, maybe it's time to mix it up. Jump into something else. It's the same thing with any kind of music. You don't want to play a half-hour disco if they're only good for 2 disco songs. Maybe you can play more disco songs later in the night, But you got to mix it up. Give people a chance to sit down, have a drink, whatever the case might be. Maybe they've asked Grandma to dance. They don't want to be out there with Grandma for a half an hour. I mean, you got to use common sense. There were a couple of lighting ones that he mentioned as well. One was they had a big light show. And they ran that light show all night long at like full blast, doing kind of the same thing all night, including during the slideshow presentation. They ran a light show during the slideshow. It's like going to the movies. They dim the lights at the movies so you can pay attention to the screen, which is exactly what you want to do with a slideshow. The other thing he noticed was a lot of the lights were hitting people in the eyes, specifically the moving heads. Even during the slideshow, people were getting blinded by spots and beams from these moving heads that were just randomly going all over the place. Get some control over your light show. Understand that audience members are not comfortable when they're getting blinded by lights. You're going to turn your back to the DJ or just leave. There are ways that you can run moving heads without hitting people in the eyes and other kinds of lights without doing this. I do it. A lot of people do it. But not understanding, how this works as amateur. Now, I understand some people bring out moving heads, and it's their first time or their first couple of times, and they run into these problems. Oh, wow, this is a problem. I recognize it's a problem. I need to address it and fix it. That's not amateur. That's a learning thing. But if you're always doing it this way, and you don't know any better, and you don't even recognize it as a problem, amateur mistake, in my opinion. So, what are some amateur mistakes, in your opinion, that DJs make? Let us know in the comment section. I'd love to hear what they are. That's it. That's our video for this week for the Tuesday DJ Gig Tips. We will see you next week with another tip of some kind. And I'll do more videos this week. Just stay tuned. I want to do some stuff on my pricing. But I got to be ready to do that. I'm not ready to do that yet. Take care. We'll see you soon. Practice and enjoy.